Yo guys, it's Haunting Lime and welcome back to the channel. So before I get started, I want to say a big thank you to everyone who supports the channel. Guys, we're only about 50 subscribers away from 400, which is my target for the end of the month. I know with this video we can probably get there. So guys, please, if you do like the content, like the video and also share and subscribe to the channel. It really does help out, and let's get on with today's video. So guys, today's video is actually going to be featuring three solid teams to help you push to your target goal, whether it's hitting legend, expert, veteran or ace. I know there's only about 3 days left until the end of the season, and I really wanted to put this out there before, but I've been super busy at work, so I've not had the chance to actually do what I normally do with my videos in terms of the production quality. But this is probably my easiest way of getting this out there before the end of season, and gives you at least 3 days to actually maximize the point gains from these teams. So the first team is actually BloodyBananas team, which utilizes Pelipper in the lead, Vigoroth as a safe switch, and Empoleon as the closer. So Vigoroth is really solid as a safe switch. It draws out the fighters, which obviously your Empoleon is weak to, and then your Pelipper can pretty much farm them down and have loads of energy to throw at your opponent. So one of the strongest things about this team is Empoleon is super solid for the current meta. It really handles the Azumarills, the Alola Ninetales, which are pretty much everywhere, and it also handles the pretty much the weather bowlers. For example, Pelipper it can do well against, and also Abomasnow. So Empoleon is a really solid pick for the current meta, and the reason why I stop out here is because Shadow Punch won't do too much damage against Empoleon, but I was scared of the Shadow Ball, so I did Shield, which is totally fine. And here, like I said, Empoleon has a super good matchup against Azumarill because of the Steel typing, especially because most Azumarills are not running not running Hydro Pump, but even Hydro Pump doesn't do too much damage. So I was a little silly to kind of let that extra bubble go through, but I was able to kind of get my own waterfall through, which is totally fine. And as you can see, Play Rough is resisted, so it's not doing too much damage. And because obviously we're at a one shield tie, I really need to kind of go in this with either an extra charge move against the Gengar, but in this case I'm actually going to let my Empoleon go down because he's pretty much almost going to get KO'd. So now I'm going to go throw this Drill Peck and go straight into my Pelipper, because I know my opponent just threw a Play Rough, so he needs to get to another 4 bubbles to reach any of his charge moves, and I was able to farm it down with the Pelipper, and then basically Gengar knew I had loads of energy to throw at it. So this team isn't really that hard to play because it follows the constant ABB structure, which basically is a double weakness in the back to a certain Pokemon. One Pokemon basically is a sacrificial swap, and the second Pokemon is basically the sweeper. And like I said, most teams are running Alola Ninetales, so this team is really good at countering that because you have your Pelipper as the Weather Ball spammer, which can really do quite a lot of chip damage to the Alola Ninetales, and Vigoroth has obviously quite a good matchup against them as well because it's fairly bulky and the counters do add up. Even though it's neutral damage against Alola Ninetales, it can get to Body Slam really quickly as well, and look at that damage, it just starts chipping away. And even against a Pelipper, I'm able to get to a second Body Slam, and this is actually going to force a shield, which is totally fine. So now I'm up a shield. This is great because you want to be up a shield against your opponents. That's the best way to actually go about things. And now I want to bring in my Empoleon because Empoleon has a pretty good matchup against a Pelipper, and because I want to keep my Empoleon healthy, I might choose to shield. I actually don't. He just goes for a Weather Ball. I was expecting him to actually bait with a Weather Ball, so Hurricane is obviously resisted too, but it will chunk away at least half my health, which isn't great. But Pelipper is actually quite heavy hitting, so I gotta respect it. He baited me again, and now it's just a Weather Ball, so I don't have to worry about it. So I'm gonna fully farm it down, and I have loads of energy basically. One charge move and one extra bit of energy for the next Pokemon. He actually has a Politoed in the back, so this is actually a lot more worse than expected because Politoed really is quite tanky, and he's going to do quite well against even my Pelipper because he can get to Weather Ball in pretty much 4 mud shots, which is pretty spammy, it's pretty broken, but I'm going to try and do what I can. And obviously Charm Alola Ninetales is quite strong. It is going to chunk away this Pelipper. Thankfully I'm able to get to the Weather Ball, so really I shouldn't have shielded my Empoleon at all, but in a situation that you don't really realize what is the best move to do. And here maybe I could have forced the Hurricane threat and gone straight for that. Obviously I'm trying to get my opponent's shields, so I go straight for the Weather Ball, and here I shield because I know my opponent has loads and loads of energy. I'm trying to basically make him waste it, and he does actually go for the next one because he was scared of me getting to my Weather Ball, so he throws his energy. So I'm thinking he's pretty much energy dry, and now I can just come in and basically waterfall it down, or basically, yeah, but that was not the case because he had tons of energy. That's one thing about these Weather Ball spammers, they can basically generate energy really fast, and they can do quite well. So unlucky, lost the game there, but well played to my opponent. On to the next game. So again, Really strong lead. Pelipper is a really strong and phenomenal lead, as well as a safe swap in the current meta. It has moves like Hurricane and Weather Ball, which do really well. And here I switched out a little bit late because I wanted to have quite a lot of energy onto my Pelipper, and because I know Grass Knot is neutral on Empoleon, it's not going to basically do too much damage. I can tank 2 before going down, and obviously against a Machamp, my Vigoroth and Empoleon are pretty useless because Machamp is so hard at basically so hard. Basically, it does a lot of heavy damage, and it's really hard to kind of counteract that by getting to my moves. Vigoroth has decent play against it because you can actually get to the body slams, and body slams do threaten the Machamp because obviously Shadow Machamp is fairly weak. But Empoleon will take quite a long time, and before that I'm most likely get KO'd by a cross drop or something. So I let my Empoleon go down, which is totally fine, and now I'm going to fully commit to the farm down on this Vigoroth because Cresselia is in that kind of farm down range where I will have to take a Moonblast, which is totally fine. Like I said, Vigoroth and Empoleon were pretty much useless against the Machamp, so I built up quite a lot of energy, and now I'm throwing this against the Machamp. This is going to force the first shield, or at least force a shield later on. I'm able to get to the second Body Slam before my opponent switches out, which is a great catch by him, but this is one of those things I was talking about. This team does force a lot of switch outs, and he actually has a Galarian Stunfisk, so this is kind of dicey, but because I had so much energy built on my Pelipper before actually switching out, this allows me to actually have a chance of winning the game. So most likely the Galarian Stunfisk has to go for the Rock Slide. That's the best thing to go for. Obviously Earthquake is resisted, and I know I can take one Rock Slide. Pelipper is quite bulky, so you know, you have to understand the matchups as well. Pelipper can take one Rock Slide quite comfortably, and Mud Shots aren't doing too much damage, so I know that's basically one of those things. And now I've got 2 shields for these next 2 Rock Slides, and I know my Machamp has some energy on there as well, so I'm going to try and basically wait for the switch, which I was able to, and the second shield is going to be more than enough to protect myself from the cross chop. Most likely would have been KO'd, but I'm able to farm it down because Machamp was already so low, and Wing Attack does quite a lot of damage against Machamp. And now I've got 2 Weather Balls back to back ready, and this is going to be enough to KO the Stunfisk. So it would have been a lot dicey if I switched out straight away into my Empoleon, but because I knew the matchup, I knew how Empoleon wouldn't be basically, my win condition basically would have been Pelipper, because Pelipper has quite a strong spam ability against a lot of Pokemon, so getting the extra energy was actually the best thing to do. So on to a pretty average lead. Like I said, Empoleon can be tricky against Pelipper because it resists everything, but I switch into my Vigoroth because Vigoroth is going to force my opponent to switch out, and because Empoleon versus Empoleon is quite a neutral game, I'd rather have that matchup or even the Pelipper against it later on. But because I forced my opponent to switch out into his Mandibuzz, which is actually not a really good counter for Vigoroth, because the counters from Vigoroth are actually going to be chip away, even though it's neutral damage. They are going to be doing damage, you know, sufficiently over time. They're going to start chipping away, and also the body slams can be spammed quite regularly. I'm already at like 2.5 again, so these body slams are going to add up, and I can actually win switch back with this Vigoroth. Depending on what I do, and obviously I get to the next one as well, this is what I'm saying, Vigoroth is really good and a really strong safe switch for the current meta. It can really force your opponent to shield, and I switched out here because I know my opponent will try and throw a foul play, and my Pelipper is quite healthy, and this allows me to actually farm it down completely. But my opponent actually goes back into his Empoleon, and this is totally fine. Like I said, Pelipper does fairly well against it because it can actually reach the Weather Balls before my opponent gets to his charge moves, and you know, I can shield this Drill Peck, which I don't really choose to do, I think, or this Hydro Cannon even. He actually goes for Hydro Cannon. In this situation, you should really go for the Drill Peck because it is neutral damage, and it will do more damage compared to the resisted damage from Hydro Cannon. So because my opponent actually messed up there, I was able to get to a second Weather Ball, and now my opponent's in that range where I can just come in either with the Vigoroth and farm it down, or I can choose to come in with my Empoleon, and coming in with Empoleon actually gives me an energy lead into his next Pokemon, which is actually a Alola Ninetales, a Charm Alola Ninetales. This is what I mean. A lot of the meta is running Charm Alola Ninetales, and Empoleon basically shuts that Pokemon down because the Steel typing is so versatile, and you know, outside of Galarian Stunfisk, Empoleon does have quite a good Empoleon is a really good counter for all the Charmers that are running around. Galarian Stunfisk is really good too, but you know, I'm one of those people that don't really like to use Azumarill or Galarian Stunfisk pretty much throughout the season, especially because I hate the mirror match, so I tend to use other Pokemon that are really good against the current meta. So able to get that win there, so well played to my opponent. On to the next game. Up against a Bastiodon. So this is going to be a tricky game. Pelipper has a decent matchup against Bastiodon, but obviously going into the Vigoroth will actually enable me to try and line up my Empoleon with Bastiodon later on, but my opponent actually has a Toxicroak. So this is a mistake I made. So because you can get to the bulldoze, always go for the body slam, because your opponent will respect that and shield it. Most likely, 99% of the time, he will shield the bait even, because he doesn't want to get taken out by a bulldoze, because that will actually KO. So my opponent has quite a lot of energy because he fully farmed down my Vigoroth. This is totally fine. I know I can take one charge move from my opponent. He actually goes for Sludge Bomb for the first move, which does quite a lot of damage, but because I'm able to get shield 1-up, I'm actually fully able to farm down the Toxicroak, and now I am able to align my Empoleon with the Bastiodon, but my opponent actually has a Shadow Mewtwo in the bag. So I was worried about his last Pokemon. If it was going to be for example, a G-Fisk, it would have been a bit tricky, but because obviously I had shields, it's basically a lot easier. And because my opponent has a Mewtwo, I've got to respect his charge moves, because Shadow Mewtwo is going to hurt everything really hard. But because it's Shadow, I was able to farm it down with Waterfall, and I've got quite a lot of energy basically on my Empoleon, and this Hydro Cannon is going to do quite a lot of damage to this Bastiodon. And because obviously my Pelipper still has quite a lot of energy, I can just basically utilize that, and nothing from this range is going to KO me because Bastiodon is really defense weighted, and now just go into my Pelipper to basically snipe the Bastiodon, because Pelipper can do well against Bastiodon. It takes 3 Weather Balls against a Bastiodon, take it out. So able to go 4-1 in the first set. So this is a really strong team created by BloodyBananas, who reached Legend really early in the season, but it's a super solid team as well. It doesn't require too much skill to use. So now on to the next team. This is a team which was first created by Wallower, who was a really awesome content creator, but I've not really seen this team utilized too much this season, because for some reason, you know, the meta has changed slightly and Null Ninetales has become more prevalent. This team does quite well against that team as well, and Shreddy also used this team last season to get to Legend 2, and I quite like this team because it utilizes one of my favorite Pokemon, which is Shadow Abomasnow. And I know the matchups really well. Shadow Abomasnow can take one Rock Slide from the Galarian Stunfisk, and this is my mistake here. I should switch out my Hex to a Bubble on the Jellicent, because Bubble will do really well against Pokemon like Galarian Stunfisk, Bastiodon, and just anything that's ground type, because Hex is good. Like, Hex actually is working out better here because it's not resisted, and against the Tropius, you know, I'm able to still win back the switch. My opponent was switched out really late, so I was able to build up to an Ice Beam, and my opponent probably thought I had a Bubble Beam, so I didn't really shield. But thankfully, because of that so-called bait potential, some people might not actually shield the Ice Beam, but Ice Beam is definitely the move to go for. Bubble Beam is decent, but it's not that great against a lot of matchups, because it really just hinders your opponent's attacking power, but it doesn't really take anything out, which you kind of need with Jellicent, because it's quite bulky and you need that extra damage from either the nuke moves Shadow Ball or Ice Beam. So my opponent respects that, and he switches out into his Pelipper and shields. And because Pelipper is super spammy, I need to basically get my Azumarill paired up with him, because Azumarill can survive a Hurricane. It needs to basically do 2 Hurricanes to take me out, and I need to be able to get to 2 player rough, because 1, to get the shield, 2nd, to do quite a lot of damage to this Pelipper, because Pelipper, like I said, is fairly bulky, and I need that extra damage I can from anything, because Abomasnow has a good matchup against it, but it will take super effective damage from the wing attacks, and Abomasnow isn't really exactly healthy at the moment, so it's something that I need to basically be able to counteract. So going back obviously to the Tropius, the reason why I didn't shield, because obviously it has a really bad matchup against my my Abomasnow, and here I do switch out because obviously I've took my opponent's last shield, and I know the Powder Snow can do quite a lot of chip damage against the Pelipper and basically take it out before getting taken out myself. So able to get the first win there quite comfortably, so well played to my opponent. On to the next game. So again, this is another ABB team utilizing double water in the back, so this is going to be pretty tough, because Surfetched is basically a counter for the whole of my team, because it has Night Slash, which really counters Jellicent. It has Leaf Blade for Azumarill, and Counter for my Abomasnow. So this is basically one of those leads where it's pretty rough from the beginning. I'm going for the Shadow Ball because I know my opponent's most likely going to shield. I did take the first Night Slash or the Leaf Blade because I know Jellicent can survive. It's quite bulky, so I'm able to let that go through, and I actually let this go through as well, because I know my opponent is going to just try and spam as much energy as possible. I didn't want to have too much extra farm, so I was counting the fast moves, and I wanted to basically align my Azumarill, because Azumarill is, again, super bulky, and the main threat to my team is this Surf-Edged. So if I can take it out, I can have a much better chance at actually doing well against it, and Bubble actually is doing quite a lot of damage against this Surf-Edged. Had I shielded my Jellicent, I would have been a shield down, and I'm going to take it out, but my opponent actually lets his Surf-Edged go, and now I've got a chance of trying to win this game, because I'm at a shield advantage, which thankfully I was able to keep and not use it. I know I can survive a rock slide on my Abomasnow, but I'm actually choosing to shield because I was able to get a bit of an energy lead against the Azumarill, and I know my Abomasnow is my win condition for the actual match. I got to basically keep it healthy because obviously Azumarill has a bit of energy, and if it has Ice Beam, it's going to basically be able to take me out. And now I'm going to let it go through. I'm going to let the next attack go through because obviously I'm able to farm as much as possible on this G-Fisk and get it low. That was the aim of the game, not to get my Abomasnow to die, but basically get to a place where I can actually threaten this Galarian Stunfisk and basically farm it down. And because my opponent is shielded, I'm actually going to shield here myself and commit to the full farm. And my opponent actually switches here, and because he wasn't at a move at all, I am able to get to the energy ball, which does a tremendous amount of damage. And here I'm actually letting my opponent farm me down, and he actually has to go throw a move because he's scared of me getting to either another energy ball or a weather ball. Weather ball probably wouldn't have done a lot of damage, but he couldn't farm me down completely because obviously the threat of the energy ball was quite great. He had to throw energy, and I was able to actually get to my own player up before my opponent actually had a chance to get to his second one. So the bubble takes out the Galarian Stunfisk, so able to get that win there. So quite a good game. Well played to my opponent. So again, this team is really forgiving. It's not too hard to play as well because of the fact that you have quite bulky Pokemon, and the bulk actually survives, well, the bulk actually outlives a lot of other Pokemon, and you can have a lot more workability or play because when you have Pokemon that are quite forgiving, that can take charge moves, you have a lot more utility to you have a lot more utilization to actually do with the team. So against Mew, I've got to be careful of the Flame Charge, which a lot of Mews are running. The Wild Charge won't do too much damage because obviously it's resisted, but obviously you've got to respect the moves that Mew can have, and this one actually has a Rock Slide, which would have taken me out from that range. So here I am able to catch a move on my Jellicent, which was a great catch by me, hooray. It actually has a Flame Charge, so like I said, you have to respect the moves it has. And my opponent goes into his Altaria, which obviously is a great play by him because he doesn't want to get Altaria matched up with the Abomasnow, because Abomasnow is going to basically have a field day with it, and he doesn't shield the Ice Beam, which is totally fine. And this is also good because my opponent has to throw energy here. I would have been able to farm him down with Bubble. He actually undercharges that a little bit, I think, or either Jellicent's really tanky and survives that, but which is totally fine because now the Altaria has no energy. I'm able to get one Powder Snow worth of energy from the Altaria. My opponent has a Swampert in the back, and yeah, this is pretty much GG. I'm not going to go for the bait. I could go for the bait here and basically waste my energy, but I'm going straight for the energy ball. My opponent actually realizes it's just GG basically. So Swampert doesn't really have much play against Abomasnow. It can do alright, but obviously Abomasnow is super well rounded for the current meta. It does really well. And this is yeah, Bastardon can give my lead a lot of trouble. Having Bubble here obviously helps out a lot because, like I said, against the Bastardons and the G-Fisks, Bubble does do a lot of chip damage compared to Hex, which wouldn't do as much. And my probably mistake here was not letting, not fast move denying my opponent. He's able to get quite a few extra rock throws in. No, smackdowns in. And I think I was one away in terms of one bubble away from getting to my last, well, my next Shadow Ball, which basically I would have been able to do it if I didn't let the extra rock smackdown get through me. So guys, sorry, I've got amnesia, man. I always forget what moves Pokemon have and always mix them up. So here I bring in my Azumarill because I can farm down my opponent, but he actually has a Deoxys in the back, which really I can't even bring my Abomasnow in because Abomasnow is pretty useless against Bastardon, and the counters from Defense Deoxys are going to do quite a lot of damage. So here I'm basically going to try and shield this because I'm afraid of the Thunderbolt. My opponent actually doesn't have a Thunderbolt, he goes for the Rock Slide, and I'm able to get to a second play rough, and I'm going to let this go through as well because a Rock Slide won't do too much. And normally if my opponent is running Thunderbolt, he would go for Thunderbolt straight away. It's either Thunderbolt and Psycho Boost or Rock Slide. So here I go for the play rough, and I get my opponent's shield, which is great. But you know, Defense Deoxys is such an annoying Pokemon. It has so much health and defense. Well, it doesn't have that much health, but it has a lot of defense, which takes the piss to get rid of. And he goes for a Psychic Boost, and my opponent actually is running a double counter team. So this is one of those teams which is hard countering my team. Yes, Jellicent would have been great against the Defense Deoxys and the Medicham, but because I had to utilize it against the Bastardon, maybe I should have just come in with Azumarill. Maybe Azumarill would have been a better safe switch in this situation, and Jellicent would have been able to sweep in the back. So next time I see a Bastion in the lead, I might just go Azumarill straight away. So my opponent was able to get that win, so well played to him. On to the next game. This is what I like about Abomasnow. It catches the Altarias with their pants down, you know, and this Altarias chooses to stay in. And actually, I think he was trying to catch the weather ball, and I'm basically counting my opponent's energy and overfarming as much as possible, because I'm going to go straight for the energy ball. If I get the shield, great, because then I can just work towards the next energy ball, and I'm actually able to get to the next one before my opponent throws anything. So this will get either the second shield or do quite a lot of the heavy damage against this Azumarill, and now I can shield myself because an Ice Beam will do quite a bit of damage to me. And because I know my opponent doesn't have too much energy, I can build up to a bit more and try and catch a move on my Jellicent, which I am able to, because obviously, I mean, I could, I wouldn't be able to take out the Azumarill from a weather ball in that range. I'd have to go for the energy ball, and I might have not been able to get it before my opponent got to an Ice Beam, so I didn't want to go 2 shields down. So catching that play rough was quite nice, and I'm over farming here because I do expect my opponent to switch out into his Altaria because our switch clocks were not aligned, and he brings it back, and Altaria gets basically one shot by the Ice Beam. And because I was able to farm down quite a bit, Jellicent has quite a lot of energy, and I throw an Ice Beam for some weird reason. I don't know why I'm throwing an Ice Beam. Yeah, because I know it's going to take it out, but still, you know, why are you throwing the Ice Beam for? I always go for the Shadow Ball, and my opponent has a Talonflame in the back, so even though, you know, I switched out, I mean, I let the Jellicent go, the Bubble was doing quite a lot of damage. I wasn't able to actually reach anything, but I go into my Azumarill because obviously Bubble is going to be the move that's going to help me get a lot of damage against this Talonflame. My Azumarill can survive a Brave Bird from here, and my opponent obviously will not go for it because this is his last Pokemon. And here I've got a Weather Ball stored, so I'm going to go straight for the Weather Ball here. And Talonflame, even though it resists Weather Ball, it's neutral damage against the Weather Ball, Ice, it's still more than enough to take it out. So really strong team, highly recommend it. It's a team that I used as well last season to get to Legend as well, and it's really strong against the current meta. And guys, able to hit Legend again, this is like my 10th time going from Legend all the way down to about 2800s, all the way up to 3000s again. So, you know, I've been hitting Legend about 10 times this season, so I want to recommend teams that are really strong, not too difficult to use. And this last team is a team, I wouldn't say of my own creation, but it's something I utilised at the start of the season, and it's a double ice team. And Frostlass obviously being quite a big, strong pick for the last Fun Cup, the Retro Cup, is a really strong pick, and I think a lot of people will actually have one built for it. Have one actually built now so they can utilise it. And Swampert Double Ice is a really strong strategy, and I've not really seen it utilised too much. I did use this strategy before with a low Ninetales with Powder Snow, but I'm actually using Charm, which is even stronger, and Abomasnow. And Abomasnow has obviously a lot of weaknesses, so I think this team is a lot stronger with low Ninetales with Charm. So Frostlass is a really amazing safe switch. Not a lot of Pokemon know what to do against it because they don't see it too commonly, and it has access to Avalanche and Shadow Ball. Shadow Ball can obviously do quite a lot of damage against your opponent's Azumarill, and I was actually unable to go into my thingy. What am I talking about? I was actually farmed down. God Faraz, get your language in gear. I was able to get farmed down by the Toxic Rock, so it wasn't great. So my opponent actually has a Ferrothorn in the back. So Ferrothorn is probably the one Pokemon that is really well against this team because Charm or Ninetales gets fully walled by a Ferrothorn. Unless I have a massive energy lead and I can get to... And this one actually has Flash Cannon, so kudos to him by taking me out straight away. I thought Mirror Shot, I can survive, you know, I can get to another Weather Ball, but this guy is rocking that spicy moveset of Flash Cannon, which actually does quite well. And Swampert, yeah, is going to get pretty much demolished by Bullet Seed, because Bullet Seed, even though it's not a powerful move, is going to do quite a lot of damage. My opponent still has a shield, and even though I've got energy on my Swampert, this Toxic Rook has quite a lot of energy because he was able to farm down my what's it called? Frostlass. Yes, Frostlass. So unable to get the first win there, but it's okay. You know, things happen. But again, you know, a really strong team. And on to the next game. I'll play to my opponent from before, and I'm up against my opponent who's running a really spicy team, which you don't see too often in the 3000 range. But you might think he's still playing in the Retro Cup. So guys, I had these teams built from the start of this, well, not start of the season. These teams, I had these videos pretty much ready from the week where all the leagues were open. He actually has a Wild Charge, pretty spicy moveset, and he goes into his Cherrim, which can be problematic, but thankfully able to farm it down. I can throw this Sludge Wave, and get the shield. And having Double Ice obviously is great because all the grass types are going to basically not have a good day with that. And my opponent actually has a Shadow Zapdos, which, like I said, spicy team, my friend. Going all out, basically getting some good games. So yeah, I had these games recorded from like Tuesday, because obviously the league resets pretty late in the evening in the UK, so I couldn't really get anything out super early, and because work's been super busy, I've basically not been able to get this video out the way I wanted to, and I thought it's unfair because you guys, are trying to push towards your goals, and if I can give anyone support, especially, in the lower leagues, get them to help reach the target, because, getting to legend is a really big achievement. I'm able to do it for the second time in a row now, which, I'm really happy about, but obviously I've tried for the past few seasons. It's not been easy, so if I can give, good recommendations of teams to people that are struggling, I'm really thankful to kind of do that in my position, and also if I can help anyone out, it's really good as well. So guys, if you are able to hit your goals, excellent. If you're not, don't worry about it. There's going to be plenty more seasons. Hitting legend isn't always the biggest. Well, we all want to get there. I know it's easy said in my position right now, because I've actually hit legend, and even I kind of had a bit of fear that I wouldn't be able to hit legend this season, because this season was kind of rough with everything, but able to do it, and I failed for the first four seasons, but it's all about building your Pokemon pool for the Great League, for the Ultra League, and then just trying your best. You will learn every season. So eventually you will get there. And thankfully, with the addition of the longest season, the chances to hit legend are actually even better. And the addition of like fun cups like the Retro Cup and the Remix Cup actually allow more opportunities to hit legend. So don't worry about it, guys. You will get there eventually. And when you get there, it'll be a massive achievement. And once you get there, the rest it becomes easy, because then you know what to do. You get those skills that you need to actually hit it for the first time, and then you can utilize those skills to hit it again. So guys, if you're pushing for your goals, hopefully these teams can help you, but if not, don't worry about it. Just enjoy the last few weeks of the season, and there's always next season for everything. So this team, again, it's not too difficult to use. Frostas has quite a good matchup against a lot of things as the save switch. There I should go for the Shadow Ball. For some reason I didn't think I'd get to it, so I wasn't able to throw it down. So here I bring in my little Ninetales, and I'm expecting a Sludge Bomb from my opponent, and it's actually a Mud Bomb, but because my opponent is fairly weak, I do try and commit to the Charm down. My opponent has a Cresselia in the back. So this is pretty rough, because Cresselia can output quite a lot of damage, but thankfully, because I've got Charm Ninetales, I'm able to do quite a lot of damage with Charm, and because Weather Ball is such a spammy move, a lot of Ninetales can utilize it so well with Charm as well. And this move blast is enough to take me out, and here I come in with my Swampert, because Swampert has Hydro Cannon loaded, and that's basically what I need to get this Cresselia basically in the zero, and Toxicroak was in that farm down range where Mud Shot could actually take it out. So able to get that win there, and on to the last game. So this is the last game? Probably the last game. But yeah, guys, hopefully, again, I want to apologize for not getting this video out there at least by Wednesday, when I could have actually done that, but I've been super busy with work. I'm trying to maximize on my work life, and also helping people out on Pokemon Go. It's not always easy to balance everything together, and I've been going through a bit of a rough patch mentally. I think after Ramadan I was a little bit tired, body craving all these carbs, and then carbs or sugars, and having the sugars basically has led me to have a massive crash on some days, so I've not had the mental capacity to actually get these videos out there the best way I could. So I do apologize for that, guys. I'm really sorry, but I want to try and create more content, and if it is creating content like this with a style of having just the games and a voiceover, not a face recording, it might be easier for me to just do that, so I can get more content out there regularly. So guys, let me know if you prefer this style, which is a bit like Poke AK's style of having a nice border, having the games, and just a voiceover, just his lovely smooth voice to kind of go over everything. If that style is better than my other style, where I actually have the Pokemon and the moves on the side, and have my beautiful face on the corner as well. So Frostas is obviously countered by Umbreon, but because Frostas has access to Avalanche, it can do quite well against Umbreon. So look at that, Umbreon is fairly low, and because my opponent has I did switch out here into my Swamp, because I knew I could farm down the Umbreon. I go into my opponent switches out again, so I catch the Thunder Punch from the Hypno, and because Hypno is already quite weak, it wasn't able to get to another charge move. I fully farm it down, and Umbreon is pretty much dead, and my opponent actually is running Hypno Double Dark Team, which Charm Alola Ninetales loves to see. So pretty much GG in the situation. Scrafty has no play against Alola Ninetales, especially with Charm. Weather Ball, different story. And now on to, this is probably the last game, guys, so again, sorry about the long-winded explanations of everything. So having quite a lot of spicy teams against me in the last set, showcasing this team. So my opponent actually has a Jirachi, which has not a great matchup against Swampert. Again, I love Shadow Swampert, and I got a really amazing catch there actually. Frostlass has really good play against Vigoroth, because Vigoroth obviously is a normal type. And the counters are obviously doing neutral damage. That's the great typing of Frostlass, where it's Ice and Ghost, so it takes neutral damage from counters. And obviously Body Slams are resisted. So neutral because of the Ice typing, I guess. And Avalanche hits everything hard. So even if you bring out a counter, you bring out a normal type, Avalanche is going to do quite a lot of work. And even my opponent shields this. I mean, it was obviously a bait. The whole idea was to get to a Shadow Ball and throw against my opponent. The Jirachi has to respect that, because Frostlass does quite a lot of damage. It's not exactly the tankiest of Pokemon, and it's more attack weighted, so it does quite a lot of damage. And now I'm in that position where I can farm down the Pelipper. Pelipper wasn't able to get to move. I've got 2 shields, so because I know this low Ninetales is going to be fairly useless against this steel type Jirachi, I'm going to take one Doom Desire, and Doom Desire is quite heavy hitting and get taken out. My opponent knows Swampert is going to basically win the game, so able to catch that win, so able to go into the 4-1 set in this team. So guys, these teams are super strong. I highly recommend them. BloodyBananas team is super awesome. I'd probably say that's probably the best team to use, because I utilize that team myself to get to Legend, and it's really good. So guys, if you do enjoy the games, please let me know, and again, please like the video, share it, help people that are trying to make the final push in the last 2-3 days to get there, and subscribe to my channel, guys, if you do like my content. Thank you, take care.